Hey Midnight, let me start by saying I am a huge fan of your channel and your narrations. My wife and I have seen all of your videos at least twice. I'm going to hit you up on Patreon. I know it takes a lot of time and effort to make quality videos like yours, and we should show our appreciation. I hear you don't make much on YouTube unless you have millions of views. Now to my story. I am Italian. Like the movie says, I am a good fella, and I am also for hire on the deep web. Now I'm not going to say a whole lot more, but this is important, and will later become apparent as to why. I've heard reports that violent crimes like rape are decreasing. I don't believe this for a second. Either the numbers are being distorted, or they're just not being reported. I think it's probably a combo of both. Anyhow, I have a personal story that should serve as a warning to any would-be rapists out there. You will get what you got coming. My daughter has this friend I've known since they were toddlers. She is very sweet, kind girl who never hurt a soul. Let's call her Jenny. Recently, Jenny was raped by a disgusting piece of crap who is at least 15 years older than her. He got her while she was drunk at a concert over the summer. Cops and courts are fine, but I decided to exact justice myself. Real justice. The loser worked at a little store in a strip mall, and the girls both kinda knew him, so I waited for him to get off work one day. I followed him home, and I got the little bastard on his way in. I won't go into detail, but let's just say he won't be walking anywhere for a long time, and more importantly, he will never be able to rape anyone ever again. The cops probably know it was me, but they can't prove anything. And really, they don't want to. They don't have the resources to dedicate to something like this. So, no harm, no foul, at least for me. So just a message to anyone out there who may be thinking of committing a violent crime like this. You never know who you may hurt. They may have friends, and Lord willing, someone like me will get you. Exact revenge, and life as you know it will end. Thank you for your time, Midnight. I wish you all the best with your channel. Hello, Midnight Fears. I have a dark past and an amazing/evil dad that I would like to tell you about. We will start with him. He was born in 1936, London, England. At 15, he got into a gang, which would commonly be known as the Cray Twins. He joined the gang as it had just started, and he was good friends with the Crays. They started out with petty stuff, just robbing people and participating in small gang wars. My dad first shot someone when he was only 16 years of age. He hit him in the leg. The funny thing is, the guy he shot would end up marrying his sister's best friend. The man died about 3 years ago, and I can remember my dad crying with laughter when he found out. He said to my aunt, "I hope it wasn't lead poisoning." The first time that he actually killed somebody was when he was 18. Some months later, he was told to shoot a nightclub owner who had pissed off the Crays about something. He obliged. During the attack, he also hit 3 other people with 1 shot. Now, he was using a shotgun, so this just wasn't that hard to do. He did get convicted for that, but he only served 13 months. The lucky bastard. And that's pretty much the most interesting part of my dad. Now about me. I was born in the early 1990s. And I had shown that I was different from other kids. I was a lot more active, and I was always trying to break things or take them apart. Even at 3 years old, I totally stripped down my mom's hover in just 30 minutes. I stripped the motor and undid every screw. At school, I was relentlessly bullied. I was always peaceful and just took the bullying, but anger and rage was building up inside of me. The first time I can remember going psycho on someone was when I was 14. My dad had recently suffered a heart attack, and I was being the little shit. I was pissed off at an asshole next door. I was inside when this guy came storming around and starting having a go at my dad right after his surgery. The guy was only a small man, and honestly, he looked like a twig. I just snapped. I grabbed this metal pole from the garage, and I whacked him with it again and again. I just found this strength that I never even knew I had. I did get in trouble for it, and it was even in the local papers. After this event, one of my dad's friends asked him if I'd like to start taking boxing lessons. That sounded good to me, so I started training with him. About 3 months into my training, this guy asked me to run some bags across town to various people. He told me to never look in the bags. It would always be the same large backpack with a cooler inside. He told me it was just lunches for his friends. I knew better. Then, when I was 17, he paid me to start beating people up. It was me and a couple of other guys who would beat the bloody hell out of anyone he said. I thought nothing of it, being a 17-year-old looking for cash. When I got my motorbike, he started paying me to travel hours away, delivering the same backpacks as before. I couldn't take it any longer, and curiosity got the best of me, so I finally looked in one of the bags. I was shocked by what I saw. It was a hand, a human hand. I was torn. I had no idea what to do. I thought it was just going to be drugs inside the bags. It was always to the same people, about once a month. I was actually transporting frozen body parts. I was so close to being sick. I just got on my bike and dropped it off like usual. I did not speak to the man for about a month. Then he bumped into me on the way to the shops. He told me to follow him. He brought me to a warehouse next to the place where he taught me how to box. While we were talking, he slowly pulled a knife from one of his pockets. He opened it and he began playing with the knife while he was holding it in his hands. He asked me if I had ever looked in one of the bags. I was thinking, how the hell did he know? Now what am I gonna do? I looked at him straight in the eyes and said no. He looked like he didn't believe me. He asked me, haven't you ever wondered what was in them? I just replied, drugs. Doesn't matter to me, as long as I get my money. He smiled and he let me go. I quit the next day and I moved away about 5 months later. I'm now happily living with my new girlfriend. I just wanted to get this off of my chest. I had never told anyone before, and I don't think I'll ever tell anyone ever again. Thank you, Midnight Fears, and goodbye. Hello, Midnight Fears. I'm such a huge fan of your work. I have been listening to your narrations for about a year now. Just can't seem to get enough of them. And I ask that you please do not use my real name in the video if you do plan on narrating this. Let me just start by saying that this story can be used for your online channel. Some names have been changed in the story, simply because I don't have permission to use their real names, and that I really hope the message at the end of the story is clear for everyone to understand. Let me first tell you a little about myself. I come from a neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, by the name of Williamsburg. It's a very Italian neighborhood. And yes, I am 100% Italian, and I speak the language, considering my parents are born in Italy. I come from a family very well connected in the Italian Mafia. Made members of the Mafia, to be specific, actually. You see, you can only be a made member if you are 100% Italian. Anything else, you'd be considered an associate of the Mafia. To become a made man, you have to show the family that you are allegiance to, that you are loyal and a good earner, and are willing to do whatever it takes to protect your friends and the family. There are 5 families in New York: Colombo, Genovese, Lucchese, Bonanno, and Gambino. I am currently in the process of becoming a maid in one of them. I will not specify which one. I know this may seem very irrelevant and off topic, but you will later understand why I included this. Now to my story. This all started a few months ago when a friend of mine, who is a made guy, was at a social club where all the members and associates just go to have a drink and hang out with each other once in a while. We heard a few of the old timers talking about the deep web, which came as a shock to me because of all people, who would have ever thought that these guys, who were born in the 40s and 50s, would have any clue about that kind of stuff. They spoke about how their grandkids had visited it, and they had seen insane things while browsing through the deep web. Of course, I knew what the deep web was, mainly because of watching your videos, but never had any intention of going on because I just had no business being there at all. About 2 days later, I had this craving curiosity to go onto the deep web for some reason, just to see what I would come across. So I called a friend of mine over who's extremely tech savvy, and he's probably a hacker, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I told him that I wanted to go onto the deep web, and from there, on an unmarked computer that I purchased under a different name for safety purposes, he installed everything I needed to safely browse the deep web. I suggested that we go to a cafe nearby. It's called the Blue Stove in Williamsburg. So we used an outside Wi-Fi and had no connection traced back to us going onto the deep web. God forbid we were there to get hacked or something. Funny what your videos do to me, right? So anyway, we installed the Onion router, aka Tor, or Fox, and Unix, and an SSH tunnel, and right in front of me, there it was, the deep web. Feeling like a little kid in a candy store, I just kept browsing and browsing, coming across all the usual things you hear: illegal drugs for sale, guns, hitmen. I came across something known as the Hidden Wiki. It was just a lot of links, encrypted in letters and numbers. We browsed it for hours and found a ton of dead links. I finally clicked on one site that took me to some website labeled WTTMH, which stood for Welcome to the Monkey House. And I had a feeling that this was a red room, because I'm pretty sure I have heard of it in one of the stories before. I knew this was going to be hard to get out of. My friend and I clicked the exit button numerous times, and it just wouldn't exit. We even tried shutting the computer off, and nothing, absolutely nothing. It just stayed on. My friend John and I packed up all our stuff and went back to my house. We opened the computer again, and as much as I wanted to take the battery out and not look at it, I just couldn't, because I was really interested in seeing what was going to happen. But at the same time, I didn't want to, because I knew the people who run these sites, or the murderers who appear on them, they're all just pieces of crap. They should really all just die. I wasn't going to take any more of this. As I was about to take the battery out, a small message appeared in the corner and said, "Hi there. I don't recognize your IP address, and I wasn't aware that you were a member of our site." I was like, WTF? People become a member of this site? Stupid, sick idiots out there. I replied and said, "Oh no, I'm leaving now. Goodbye." I kid you not. The computer turned off on its own. About 30 seconds later, it turned back on, and static and fuzz came on the screen. Something that you'd see out of a movie. And to be honest, I'm not really a person who gets scared at all. As a matter of fact, I'm known around my neighborhood as a tough guy, and I have a reputation of being good with my hands. Nobody really messes with me, because my uncle, he was the boss of the family. But in all honesty, I was kind of scared, because I didn't know what was going to happen next. A message board pops up and says, "Hi Vinny, are you enjoying yourself?" My heart dropped, and I was speechless. And my friend, well, he was scared as well. I replied and said, "Yeah, go fuck yourself." At this point, I wasn't scared anymore, and I wanted to see if this guy was just some kind of keyboard warrior. His reply scared the living crap out of me. He stated all of my credit card numbers, my address, my full name, and my family member names. I was in total shock and decided just to take the battery out. It was late already. I laid in bed and I just couldn't fall asleep. I wasn't really scared anymore. I just couldn't fall asleep for some reason. It was around 4 a.m. in the morning. My phone started ringing, but there was no number appearing. I just didn't answer it. I had a feeling that it was whoever was messing with me earlier on that stupid freaking website. It was probably ran by a bunch of virgins. I then got a text that said, "Look in the front of your house." And of course, when I looked, there was someone standing in front of my house by a purple minivan. The van was old and beat up. The guy was wearing sweatpants, a hoodie, and a hat. He looked kind of old and raggedy, maybe late 50s, I'd assume. I saw he was holding something in his hand. To me, it looked like a gun. So, I opened the window, I took out my gun, and I fired a warning shot right at the van. And yes, all you guys out there, I am a licensed gun holder. All of my guns are 100% legal. Once that guy heard that shot, he got back into that crap box of a van and he sped off. I went downstairs, and much to my surprise, I discovered that my entire living room was completely destroyed. I had no idea what happened. I didn't even hear anyone or a peep in the house that night. What the hell? I was totally confused. I locked the doors and I just decided to go to sleep. I didn't even care. I was just so tired at this point. Now the next morning, I woke up and one of the captains in the family picked me up so that we could run some daily errands. As we turned the corner of my house, I saw that same junky van parked on the side of the street with the bullet hole, but nobody was in the car. I was wondering where that guy was. He was probably wandering around, waiting for me to leave my house so he could ambush me or something. That was my guess. I told my captain what happened, and he said, "Alright, we're gonna wait for this little shit and beat the daylights out of him. I then got a call from no number, just like last night, and the person said, "Watch out." This man really had no idea who he was messing with, because if he knew who I was, or who my captain was, he wouldn't have even thought about coming back here. I decided to stay home and wait for this clown to come and try to enter my house. I waited at my front door, just inside of it, for hours, with a police baton that I drilled down the middle with lead in it. After a few hours, I see this guy coming towards the door. So I just walked outside, I took the baton, and I hit him right on top of his loser head. And all you heard was this huge crack. I mean, it sounded like it was coming from Yankee Stadium. I believe it was the neighbors who called the police. And when they arrived, I had to explain what happened. Even though I was raised to never talk to the law, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. The guy was totally unconscious. Turns out he was wanted for rape in Georgia. And as for his website, it was gone once the police tried to check it out. I didn't care. I was just waiting for one of those morons to try something stupid again, so I could beat the hell out of him. But nothing ever happened. I'm now happy and no longer have to worry about these weirdos. For everyone listening, if you think the deep web is a joke and the stories aren't real, think again. It isn't a place for anyone to be. I'm lucky because I have connections. If it wasn't for that, I could be in a big pile of crap right now. Maybe even dead. Stay away from it. Weird and evil people roam the deep web. People who want nothing but to see the world burn. Don't even go near it. Thank you guys for listening to my story, and I hope my message was made clear. Hello, Midnight Fears. I have a story that I've been wanting to share with you, but I just never got around to it until now. This is the story about the death of my cousin, Marcelino, and his experience with the deep web black market. When I was about 10 years old, I lived in Chotepe, which is a small town near San Pedro Sula in the state of Honduras in Central America. In Chotepe, there were many gang members. Most of them were either from MS-13 or Calle 18. My cousin Marcelino was part of the MS-13. Now in Honduras, Wi-Fi is very limited, especially in Chotepe, where nobody has Wi-Fi. So Marcelino had to drive to San Pedro in order to get internet access. My father and mother were in America, and they had lots of money. They had left me behind until they could arrange my papers to enter the United States, which didn't happen until 2011. This story takes place in 2009. So anyways, my parents had a lot of money, and they always sent me and my grandmother, my uncle, and many more of my family members cool stuff from America, such as sneakers, video games, etc. One day, my dad had sent Marcelino a laptop. Nobody in my family knew that Marcelino was part of the MS, as he never told anyone, but we found out after his death. Anyway, Marcelino had gotten this laptop, and he immediately started talking with some of his friends on how to access the deep web black market through the laptop, because one of his friends had this other laptop that he used to order drugs off of. He eventually found out, and he went crazy with the drugs. He ordered tons of them. He usually ordered cocaine or LSD. One day, he ordered drugs from the wrong person. This particular day, he ordered meth, and the man that was supposed to sell it to him was part of the MS-13 rival gang, Calle 18. They met up in a secretive part of town in between Chotepe and the other nearby town of Chamalacan. Once they met up, they started chatting. The man that he was buying the meth from was very skinny. He was bald, and he had a mustache, and was wearing nothing but sagging jeans and a tank top. He had lots of tattoos, all over his chest, stomach, back, neck, and even all over his face. Marcelino didn't have too many tattoos, and Marcelino was also wearing the exact same outfit that the meth dealer was wearing. This would turn out to be the mistake that ended his life. Apparently, the deal had gone well. My cousin got his meth, and the dealer got his money. But it didn't end there. The dealer stopped walking to count his money, and he realized that he was 1,000 lempiras, Honduran currency, short than what the meth was worth. He turned to face Marcelino to confront him about the money. Marcy had his back turned to the dealer, and he was walking away. That was his final mistake. On Marcelino's back was a giant tattoo that read MS-13. Remember, Marcy was wearing a tank top, which made the tattoo very visible. In front of us, he always wore something to cover that tattoo up. Anyway, the dealer, without even a second thought, just started swinging punches at the back of Marcelino's head, and he did knock him out. Apparently, from what I was told, after Marcelino was knocked out, he was kidnapped, brought to the basement of a house in Chamelicon, tortured, and then brought to the middle of a random town where they publicly tied him up and stabbed him many times over and over again, leaving the knives inside of him, and they used different knives each time they stabbed him. This is the story that my uncle told me. I'm not sure if he was trying to scare me into never joining a gang, or if the story he told me was 100% legitimate. He did show me evidence though. He showed me a photo of Marcelino's dead body after he had been stabbed. I'm going to show you the picture of Marcelino's dead body. Warning, the photo I'm about to show you is extremely graphic and disgusting. Please look at the picture only if you have a strong stomach. Do not look at it if you have a weak stomach. Even I can't even look at the picture myself without thinking that I'm going to vomit. Here is the picture. Proceed at your own risk.